And I submit to you that when the people got the word about the bailout, it was not labor leaders, it was not even progressives who were out front. The outrage of the average American, that outrage was out front. And so we need to catch up, we in labor, and we need to start acting, mobilizing and organizing in our own name, independent of those political parties in the interests of working people.
Thank you. And Brother Camp?
Well, this is an important opportunity for us. It's an historical moment. And the challenge for us is, how do we seize this moment? Now, Barack Obama's up there, and the question is, who's going to push him in what direction to head things in the right? And I think it's going to take a lot of work on our part. I don't think we're going to get everything that needs to be done immediately, but it's going to take sustained, hard focus. The first focus is, we know they got the votes to get a bill out the next 100 days after the 20th of January. So he takes office January 20th, in 100 days he'll have a bill out on stimulus. The question is, who's going to control that money? That money's it's going to be a big chunk of money. I've heard people talk today about maybe, $1.5 trillion. So, but where's that? Who's going to get that money? And how's that money going to be used to put people to work? How's it going to be used to give them an opportunity to enter careers? How's it going to be used to help people that are organizing workers so that the organizing elements of our community are the ones that get an opportunity to really move ahead? That's going to be the fight. And so it's going to be a fight, and we can't think that we've done anything. All we did is get the opportunity to have a fight with the people that oppose working men and women.
All right, thank you, Brother Camp. I just wanted to let our studio audience know that we are coming to you live from the International Longshore Warehousemen's Union Local 10 in San Francisco. We'll be coming to you every week from this location. I just wanted to put that in real quick before we move on. The next topic I want to talk about is the election of Barack Obama. There are a lot of unions that are happy about that. A lot of people around the United States are very happy about that, and around the country. And I wanted to get some statements from my panel here as far as what they think about the election of Barack Obama and some of his possible appointments to his cabinet. And first I'll go to Brother Jack Heyman.
Well, first of all, let me say, I do think it is historic in the sense that finally this country was able to elect a black president. I think, however, Barack Obama is going to be beholden to a lot of the corporations that donated to him, and he got quite a bit of money from the corporations. You have to also look at the appointments that he's making. A lot of them come from the Clinton administration, yet the people that voted for him, a lot of workers, a lot of youth, and many, many black folks wanted to see change. Change is not going to come when the corporations call the tunes. So I think what's going to happen is exactly what happened. It's going to be kind of a replay of what happened in the 30s. We're into a really heated class struggle right now. It's going to deepen. It's going to get more serious. We need to have leadership in the trade union movement that's going to take on the employers, economically through the trade union movement, but also politically. I think the idea of a labor party or workers' party was at its biggest in the 30s when workers were in the heat of battle against the employers. And I think that's what it's going to come to again. We marched on Washington, the Million Worker March, because we said the Democrats and the Republicans are not that much different. They're both corporate parties. And if you remember, Clarence and Trent were both key organizers of the Million Worker March back in 2004. We were isolated, and still we made the principled stand to say that workers have to make their struggle, even if it's independent, or especially because it is independent of both political parties. I think that's where we're back right now. And as we start to fight against foreclosures, people being thrown out on the street because they can't make their mortgage payments, people losing jobs, it's going to heat up, and people are going to be looking for some serious struggle. We got to be able to address that both on the economic level and on the political level.
Thank you, Brother Jack. It's very interesting that you mentioned the 1930s, and you mentioned Barack Obama, because there's been a lot of connections being made in the media right now comparing Barack Obama to Franklin D. Roosevelt. You mentioned the Million Worker March, and it's also very interesting that the campaign that was built for the Million Worker March, a lot of the issues that were brought up then are the same issues that we're talking about now, which is very ironic, that I think. One of those issues was we talked about Franklin D. Roosevelt and his input in bringing the United States back from what was a depression back then, and there's been a comparison that Barack Obama's job is to do the same thing. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Bill Camp and get his thoughts on that, on Barack Obama being compared to Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Well, if we go back and look at Roosevelt, he was not a great progressive when he first got into office. You know, he tried to balance the budget and do a bunch of conservative, stupid things. And it was the conditions that made Roosevelt a leader. I mean, he rose to those conditions. I gave him credit for that, and he had a good wife. That was important. But the point is, we'll have to guide the way we put the pressure on the national leadership. It's going to take working people making the focus of how we're going to make this move forward. So that's where it's going to take our strength and our vision. But it's us that have got to have the vision. That's the point. If we don't have a vision, the community is going to die. So we've got to go to our working union brothers and sisters and say, listen, it's time for us to stand up and time for us to take on these encrusted banks and these fools that trade money in ways that I can't even imagine and to bankrupt the country. But I think the key is people all around the world watch this election. Hundreds of thousands of people in every country were focused on how this vote came out. I talked to people in Colombia where I was this last summer. They've assassinated 2,500 union leaders in the nation of Colombia, this big buddies of George Bush, in about the last 10 years. Every working person in Colombia had a huge stake in who the President of the United States is going to be, whether they're going to continue to murder union leaders down there. And I think the whole world is going to be putting pressure on Barack Obama. It's an opportunity for everybody.
Now, it's been well noted here in the United States that labor is the one that got Barack Obama elected, the ILWU being a main piece of that labor here in the United States. I just want to go to Brother Clarence Thomas here and get his thoughts on what the labor movement's involvement was in electing Barack Obama. And I also want to talk about the Million Worker March a little.
Well, Trent makes reference to the Million Worker March, which was the largest mobilization of trade unionists independent of the AFL-CIO and the Democratic Party in October 17, 2004. One of the major principles of that particular mobilization had to do with the whole question of working people holding elected officials accountable. I'd like to share a story that Harry Belafonte, noted actor, activist, and civil rights leader, shared with a few of us a few weeks ago. He recanted a story that Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, told him several decades ago. She made reference to a meeting that took place in Washington, D.C. involving A. Philip Randolph, who was the head of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the first black union affiliated with the AFL-CIO. And so she told Harry about a meeting that took place with A. Philip Randolph, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and other civil rights leaders. They were at a dinner. Everyone sat around and expressed to the president things that he could do in order to make some fundamental changes regarding racism and oppression in America. He listened attentively, and at the end of their suggestions made to him, he said one thing: there's not anything that you said that I disagree with, but in order for me to do it, you're going to have to go back to your sectors of the country and make me do it. Leaders don't make change. People do. And the bottom line here is, like Bill Camp and Jack Heyman have made reference to, this is only an opportunity. And we need to hold Obama accountable. And what that means is that we have to organize, mobilize this whole issue of the Employee Free Choice Act.